Thanks for checking out this horror debate series video. So, we already did the best horror remake, or second best horror remake, which you can find our two videos on that. But now we're going to just go ahead and do the worst horror remake. So this one should be very interesting. I actually have a lot of notes on this one, so I'll try and keep it, a little bit shorter with that in mind. But yeah, this is a fun one because for some reason I like to talk about movies I really don't enjoy that much because I just feel like there's so much more to say in that sense. But if you're not familiar with what's going on with the horror debate series, you watch my video, you get my pick and all my reasons why I picked that film. Then you go over to your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete's channel, which is linked in my description. Watch his video of the same name, get his pick and his reasons for why. Then you can, if you want to, come back to my channel, go to the community tab and vote who you think did the best. We also have an option for tie if you think we did the best. We both did the best, So anyway, let's get into it. So my choice for the worst horror remake is the 2010 release of A Nightmare on Elm Street. This thing is pretty much unwatchable. And one of the biggest reasons I picked this one is the disparity between how good the original is and how awful of a job they did on this remake. It's just unforgivable. It's really unforgivable. Yes, there are plenty of other not good remakes out there. Excuse me. There are plenty other not good remakes out there or terrible remakes out there. But I think when you look at where the original film is versus where the remake is, this one seems to have the biggest gap in between, in my personal opinion. But, you can feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments and also what your pick would be, because maybe there's some stuff you think I'm missing. But anyway, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. With Jackie Earle Haley and Clancy Brown, this film should have been way better than it was. For the most part, the cast isn't that good. Clancy Brown's character, way too small of a part. He was probably the best acting in it, even though he's barely on the screen. The cast they got, not great. It looks like they went for relative unknowns and people who just look nice. They're pretty people. That's kind of another trope issue with films in general, but it's always got to be good-looking peeps. But and I thought that Jackie Earle Haley would end up doing well in this film, and he didn't. I don't think it's his acting because he's proven that he can do a great job, but he kind of plays Rorschach from Watchmen. I was like, why am I blanking on that? From Watchmen, he plays Rorschach in essence, which is not Freddy. It's very different. So I wonder if it was his choice or if it was more the director was kind of leading him and saying, this is the type of character I want you to be. But either way, it's not good. The embodiment of Freddy is just... Like, I understand that they're not going to be the same as Robert Englund. Like, I fully understand that. But it's not good at all. It's like low energy. It's not that funny or scary. They kind of put this in-between space of like, it's like they couldn't figure out, do they want it to be funny? Do they want it to be scary? So they kind of just mashed it together and it ended up being just confused. Not good. But yeah, cast is a big problem. The writers for this were an unknown and another guy whose most recent writing credit before this was the movie Doom. That was a mess. That was awful. I don't know why you then go ahead and hire someone to work on the script who just did Doom for a beloved film franchise to do a remake for it. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I think you look at that person's resume and be like, you just did Doom. It's going to be a pass on this one. And then the other person writing on it had like no credits for the most part. Like they hadn't done anything else. Doesn't make sense. The creepy ethereal score in this film is used way, way, way too much. Many times even when there's really nothing going on screen. That kind of sets it up that you're constantly feeling like, oh, they want me to feel tense. They want me to feel scared right now, but I'm not. So it doesn't jive. It's very ridiculous. And it just like, it gets you into this mode of just feeling like nothing's ever going to happen because they keep playing this music that's supposed to give you the cue that something's going to happen and nothing's happening. It's like the most mundane stuff going on. So the CGI looks terrible. I understand this was 2010, but they should have gone with practical effects, especially if you're remaking something like A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is very beloved. You should probably stick closer to what the source material was in that sense. The CGI looks terrible, and CGI only looks worse as it ages. It didn't even look that good back then, to be honest. It looks even worse now. CGI never gets better. It just keeps looking more and more terrible. There's way too much camera movement. It's like the cameraman had too much coffee and couldn't stand still. There are literally moments where they're doing a lot of camera movement around characters when there's nothing going on. It's another issue, kind of like the music. Like, moving, the camera movement usually will signal some sort of mood, like something that's going on, like an intensity, or like an interesting flow to it, or like confusion or whatever. But it's just like movement for the sake of movement. Now, maybe part of the reason was the guy who directed the film primarily had just done music videos. And I think this may have been the only actual film that he, like, feature-length film he directed, and then went back to music videos. So I don't know if that had a part to do with it, but way too much camera movement when nothing's going on, it doesn't really make sense. They do so much popping in and out of dreams with minimal Freddy interaction, and it feels very boring and very predictable. After they do it the first few times, you just know when Freddy pops up, it's going to be a very quick interaction. Pretty much nothing is going to happen, and you're just going to shrug your shoulders when it's done. You're just going to be like, okay, that was filler. That's basically what it is. It's filler. And even when they try to make up jump scares, like, they're not even scary. And the other thing is, they try to throw so many jump scares at you early on and just consistently through the film that, like, you can't do that. The more you use something like that, the less impact it has. The films that have like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 jump scares, depending on the length of the film, are the ones that do a good job because people don't expect it. When you just keep trying to hit people with jump scares one after the other, no one's going to fall for it. And it's just like, it gets boring. It gets to a point where you're just rolling your eyes when it's coming up. You're like, you're not getting me, please stop. Character interactions feel so brief and so meaningless, which actually speaks to just how poorly written the dialogue is. If you literally, like, really pay attention to what's going on with these character interactions, you're getting basically no information, you're getting basically no character development, you're getting nothing. The dialogue feels like, for the most part, it is filler. Sure, there are a few moments where you get a little bit of story from the dialogue, or a little bit of, like, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I interact with you, like, this is our relationship stuff. But it's not nearly enough to even be close to interesting. It's terrible. This script is garbage. The only good parts of the film, in my opinion, are the moments where they have stolen from the original film. Like the moment, like the body bag in the hallway at the school is one of them. And there was one other one I'm trying to remember. Oh, the bathtub scene. Like, those are the best scenes, but they're lifted directly from the original film. So, like, that's easy to do. It's easy to steal stuff. The characters are also extremely generic. That's another thing. Nothing endears you to these characters. It's just like, oh, they're teenagers. Okay? They're random, generic teenagers. None of them seem to have actual personality. They're just teenagers. So you're supposed to just be like, oh, they're teenagers, so we should just care about them. Even the parents, like, none of them have personalities. They're just like cardboard cutouts, for the most part, delivering baseless, meaningless lines of dialogue. It's so just devoid of anything. There's, like, no emotion. It's such a lethargic film. And this is a type of film that should have a lot of energy to it. It feels like the writers could not decide if they wanted Freddy to be funny or just scary, so they picked that in between, and he just feels like a confused character. I already kind of talked about this, but it bears repeating. Freddy feels confused. There's something else I want to say about Freddy in a little bit, though. It's hard to figure out if there's a main character in this film. That's another thing. Early on, they're, like, following one person. You're like, okay, maybe this is the main character. Gets killed. Then they're following another person. Gets killed. And they're just like, okay, who is the main character? And by doing it this way and setting it up this way, you're not taking the time to really flesh out any characters. Like I said, they're all like cardboard cutout characters that you can't even care about. So you're just like, whatever. You just throw your hands up. You're like, just kill them all. Let's go. And even the deaths aren't even good. Like, they needed more blood to get people more excited about it. They needed to be more suspenseful. And they're just not. Like I said, it's just lethargic. It's so lethargic. Once you get a good look at Freddy's face, it looks awful. Not only does it look awful, it looks boring. The design of his face is so ridiculous, so boring. I think they were trying to go for, like, more of a realistic look for what a burn victim may look like. But you can't just go for that. It also needs to look good on the screen, and it doesn't. It looks not scary. It looks stupid. One of the other things about Freddy is he's short. You need, with a villain like that, to have him at least, like, normal height or higher. Now, I know that's not, like, the fault of Jackie Earle Haley, but there are ways to shoot things, or just, like, give him risers on his shoes, you know? Like, get him taller. I don't know. Just a lot of, like, messed up choices with this film. Also, Freddy speaks like he's mentally slow and always tired. That's another thing. There's no energy behind Freddy. Now, again, I don't know if that was Jackie Earle Haley's choice and they were like, oh, okay, that's fine, or if this is something the director was asking for, or if it was a combination of both of those things. But at any rate, it doesn't work. It's not good. It is awful. The performance does not work whatsoever. Like I said before, like, you know it's not going to be the performance of Robert Englund, but you just hope that it's unique and its own thing. Like, I would point to, I forget the individual's name, Jamie something, who played the new Pinhead in the new Hellraiser film. It's a very different performance from Doug Bradley, but it was a good performance for what they chose as the mode of character. This just does not work. The ending should be tense and scary, but that gets real messed up by Freddy talking too much. That's another part of this. They couldn't figure out if they wanted him to be funny or scary, and he just keeps throwing all these stupid lines that aren't even funny or scary out, and you're just like, why is he talking so much? You are slowing what should be the most intense part of the film down, like, to a grinding halt for the most part. And that speaks to my last point, which is the pacing in this film is totally awful. It is so bad. It just, like, aimlessly meanders, plods forward. You don't know when you're going to get another little bit of the story. If you've seen A Nightmare on Elm Street before, any of them, there is no reason to watch this film. You will get absolutely nothing out of it. When you do a remake, yes, it's not going to be the exact same film. You're not going to follow the exact storyline, but you need to have something interesting in there, and there's nothing interesting. This literally seemed like a job that people were just doing as a job to get that paycheck at the end. It seems so phoned in, and it is garbage. So that's why A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010 is my pick for the worst horror remake. Anyway, like I said, watch Uncle Pete's video now, and if you already have, you can just go and vote if you want on the community tab of my page. Do us both a favor, subscribe to both our channels if you haven't, if you like these videos or any videos we've ever done. Also hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when we're putting up new videos, including more of the horror debate series. But regardless, thank you everyone for participating. Love to get those comments on my video and his video. So we look forward to those always. Thanks for being involved with this. And until next time, keep it brutal.